All I'm really interested, candidly, is if they're brand new or if they're experienced. I'm not really so concerned with what they've sold because I take a slightly different approach. And this may or may not work for Sarah. Sarah and I target a lot of the same people. She's targeting them to bring their mortgage business to you, hopefully, and I'm hoping they bring their real estate business to me. Um, I focus on what their issue is. What are their hot buttons?
Welcome to Stop Whining About Real Estate. Join us as we chat, sip, banter, and wine with the best in the biz. Grab a glass of your favorite vino, sit back, relax, and let's wine together. We are back. Welcome to part 2 of Stop Whining About Real Estate, today's episode with Ben Schachter. Now that we've talked about the why and how of planning, let's talk about the world we're planning for. The real estate market is shifting every single week, from mortgage rates and migration trends to insurance costs, tech, and how today's buyers actually behave. So in this next segment, we are breaking down what really happens here in South Florida, the trends you need to understand, the data you should be watching, and how smart agents are adapting in real time. This is where it gets fun, a mix of a reality check and prediction hour. Let's pour another glass and dive into the state of the market.
You know what I heard? The contrast, the word that I came to mind when I listened to everything you said, and I just listened to everything you said, it's decision making. You want to make the decision and you want to make a decision on your terms, ready to go. Everything that I heard that you said is that you want the decision made for you.
Definitely not what I said.
It is, though, maybe not today, but in the beginning when you started, you wanted to have a schedule. You wanted it. And I think that I need
a direction in the beginning.
I'm willing to bet that most people that are new at something would do much better with Ben, you giving them a calendar. It says from this hour to this hour, this is what I want you to do.
Monday, this is how your day breaks down.
What you're
Tuesday,
do.
this is what your day looks like.
So I do that. Through our coaching program, we give them something called the diaper.
Right.
Babies wear diapers. The daily informational agent performance and evaluation report. Diaper. I'm big into acronyms. I put my baby agents in diapers, which is a homework assignment. Every single day, 365 days per year. Don't tell me about Christmas or your birthday or your grandma's coming to visit or your kids are home from college. I don't care. It's 365 days a year. You are logging into Signature's diaper and you're filling out a very simple questionnaire that takes no more than 2 or 3 minutes. So you will find the time for 2 to 3 minutes of exactly what you accomplished that day for your career. And what's frightening is how little time so many people put in. When they start with picking up the kids from school and dry cleaning, and I went to the gym and I washed my car. I don't want to see any of that. Just show me in these hours of the day what you did specific for your career. And it's amazing to see the onus that they have put on them with the stress and the anxiety and the nerve-wracking nature of knowing I got to fill this out. Why? The accountability. Because they are then sending it electronically through our platform to the entire management team to review. Do you actually want someone who's judging you, seeing how productive or in many cases unproductive you are every single day? Now, we're all going to have a goof off day. Some of us may even go on vacation from time to time. But when you have goof off weeks and goof off months, your income's a direct reflection. So how dare you ask for anything from your company or your team or your partners when you're not even trying to help yourself? And we give them a comprehensive outline of business productive activities to generate income that they can be doing. So I'm not saying yes, I'm telling them options. As you said early on in your career, it would have been helpful to have those options. So we do that. And I think a lot of brokers don't. And it's a big misstep because a lot of agents don't know what to do. Some know what to do, but because they can't see past not getting a paycheck on Friday, I won't do it. I won't
Wrong
do
industry.
it. It's completely wrong industry. And then they watch their bank account go down, 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 and you want to go the opposite direction. So I think the accountability of having others on top of you is important. I'll give you a great example of this. Years ago, I went on a crash diet, and a lot of people go on diets. In fact, 99% of the world do it from time to time. What I found worked for me is I actually posted on Facebook every single thing I ate for a day. Do you know how mortifying and humiliating it is when you have 4 slices of pizza, a slice of apple pie, 2 donuts, and a bagel in the same day, and you post that for 5,000 people to see? Horrifying. So the anxiety of having other people have an impact or an influence or a judgment into your success is serious. The concept of being a W-2, an employee, that's easy. Everyone thinks being a realtor is easy because you're so free. That's way more difficult. You're a business owner. You're starting and running a brand new company from nothing. You have nothing. You're starting from scratch in a new industry. Being a W-2 is a piece of cake. Your boss gives you a list of 20 things to do every day. You do them, you get a direct deposit every Friday. So time blocking your business productive activities, having suggestions from a mentor or a coach or a broker or someone you admire in the business to give you suggestions to fill your day productively, trying different things, but trying them consistently. It's not a one-time shot. You've got to try things for a period of time to see what works and what produces results. Some folks are very in-person, lots of in-person networking. Others are cold callers. Others are door knockers. Some people are total introverts and they just want to do Facebook posts and send out mailers, and they don't mind buying customers by sending out mailers, praying for a phone call to come in. There's no wrong or right. It's what works for you, but that all goes into your business plan. And understanding in a SWOT analysis what you're good at, what you're not good at, very, very, very important. Looking at your ROI for your time, which is your most valuable commodity, super important. Having other people read your business plan, critical.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's definitely, I was very fortunate that when I got into this industry, I worked in subprime, and subprime, we had really difficult managers. And so we had to work very long hours, and it was very, like, for back then, it was like you wouldn't be able to leave unless you had 3 applications. And so you just grind and grind and grind. And then you get to a point, and I think that this is one of the things where what Sarah puts on her calendar and what I put on my calendar are so different, in the sense that, because I've been doing this for 20 years as well, that, we were chatting, I forget, a week or 2 ago, she had a great October and saying, all right, I don't have as much on my November, what do I do? Or not what do I do, but I need what can I do? And so for me, because I've been doing this for so long, because my database is as big as it is, and the amount of people we have, it's really simple where I can make money on a refinance or I can make money on a purchase. It's really simple for me to say, all right, you know what? Clear this, clear that. I'm hitting the phones. I'm going to call some clients. Let me see if I can, because refinance is so unemotional. It's pure math. Ben, do you have a loan? What's your rate? Are you staying in the house? Let me put some terms to it, see if I can make it make sense. If it makes sense, we move forward. So, it's always been really easy for me to kind of turn on the jets, but I'm very driven like you are. I don't accept failure as an option. And I find that when people don't hit the immediate success, so kind of to allude back to what you said about knocking on the first 100 doors or whatever it was, I find that this industry is very difficult, especially our side of the industry, when they don't have credibility. They don't know who, no one knows who you are. You don't have a name. You don't have a reputation. There's so many ways for us to look up people's value today in their numbers. And I think that, it's something that we do. Sarah doesn't meet an agent without looking up how many transactions that person has done, right? Same thing. It's no different than you qualifying a buyer who, and then all of a sudden I forget what it is. You guys use a phone number. There's like phone number and different things you use to make sure this person is legitimate.
Use forewarn.
And I think
you should be using as well before you meet people.
Yeah.
It's like the creep database.
You never know.
It's the creep database. It's worth having.
Well, there you go. But if you think about it, I mean, it's huge. The access to information, like back then, I was just dialing and dialing and dialing. And now it's so focused on, hey, who do you want to meet? Why? What do you have in common with them? They sell in this neighborhood. Why do you want to get in that neighborhood? For us as a lender, what do we have to do with it? I know so-and-so, they can introduce me. And we can go in and you can name a realtor. I can tell you every single transaction they did with who is the lender, if they do mortgages, if they don't. So we're able to create such value the same way that if Sarah was a realtor and wanted to come work for you and she's trying to negotiate a split or however your negotiation process works, you want to know how much business she does. It's very different if she does $100 million versus if she does one. You're going to treat it very differently. And not that the interaction can't be different, but the negotiation is going to be different. And so we do the exact same thing. But do you like using HomeBot or Redder and some of the other tools that we've used?
I have yet to play with HomeBot. but I used Rudder quite a bit. I had target lists
Does it
and
handicap? No, let's say like if we were meeting Ben for the first time,
mhm,
okay, and Ben was a $50 million a year producer.
mhm.
Does it handicap you going into a meeting knowing what his production is or isn't?
It used to.
Because it psychologically would
When
mess
I
with
was
your
newer, it
okay.
would because I just felt like I'm new at this. They've been doing this for a while and they're a high producer. What I guess I was just more sensitive to their time, my purpose for meeting with them, and how I was going to wow them, understanding that they were someone who clearly was doing very well in their career, took this seriously or seemed to, and had big numbers.
She didn't seem nervous when she met me at all.
Now I am not as nervous at all because I feel like one, there's a lot of different reasons why people have the numbers that they do. I'm able to break them down better than I used to and understand kind of what goes into it. So I look at transactions, I look at the value, but I also look at where is it coming from? Is it 4 listings that were monsters? Okay, well, first of all, there's no point in me really, that's not my target person. Um, if so I have certain things that I look at that are attractive to me when I'm looking at those reports, and I kind of paint a story as to different things that I now know about them based off the data and how I want to go into it. It doesn't always go that way with the conversation, but at least I have an understanding of how they do business. Do they have 17 buy side transactions and 16 loan officers that they've used? Okay, let's talk about that. Why? Do you just not like anybody? You don't care about that piece of it. You just let so I want to know those things. But I think if anything now it's helpful. I don't feel intimidating meeting with, the bigger producers anymore. In the beginning, yes, I did.
Do you use MLS or do you use some sort of
Um,
service
I
to
have
preview?
someone in my team looks at the MLS, but all I'm really interested, candidly,
Mhm,
is if they're brand new or if they're experienced. I'm not really so concerned with what they've sold
mhm,
because I take a slightly different approach, and this may or may not work for Sarah. Sarah and I target a lot of the same people. She's targeting them to bring their mortgage business to you, hopefully, and
mhm.
I'm hoping they bring their real estate business to me. Um, I focus on what their issue is. What are their hot buttons? Because it's very interesting to find that different people have very different hot buttons.
Very different.
Some people, it's purely who's going to close my loan the fastest. Some people, it's who has the best product mix, who's going to keep me constantly communicated with and aware of everything. And other people are going to say, who's going to just pay for all my marketing for me? I don't care
Mhm,
who you are and what you charge, as long as you pay
mhm,
all my bills.
mhm.
Mhm.
So it varies. And Sarah and I are going to get the same type of information from an agent. So I just want to know what their hot buttons are, and I will tailor what my presentation is to their hot buttons. I'm not going to waste my time talking about things that are of no interest to them whatsoever,
Yeah.
right? I'm going to focus on bigger picture items. When we met for the first time, I told you what I was looking for in a mortgage partner. So you were better equipped for when you brought me for a second meeting with Emmanuel to talk about the things that were important to me in
Mhm.
a partner and different what's important to me versus from other people. So it's important to know what's important to them because then you can tailor your pitch accordingly.
Absolutely.
And yes, of course, you want to know if they're a producer or not, but to me, I'm less concerned with the numbers, more their emotional concerns and their business strategy concerns. Realtors are an interesting bunch. A lot of them have terribly poor judgment. Terribly poor judgment because they jumped into a career that is really a grind and they're ill prepared for that career. They are not prepared budgetarily with the staying power you need financially before you're actually generating sustainable income. Ill prepared to realize it really is a self employed business. Ill prepared all the tools that you need to succeed. It's not just your charm and your good looks that are going to get you anywhere. There's a lot of tools that are required in this business, both introspectively as well as things you can buy off the shelf. So it's important to educate, communicate, be candid, and be who you are. Don't promise things you can't deliver in any fashion.
Sure.
That's real important. A lot of people overpromise, underdeliver. It's the first way to destroy your credibility. But to the business planning side of things, if people start with a simple business plan, and there's so many great templates out there, you literally can Google search real estate business plan. You'll get 100 different options. Fill in the blank, downloadable Excel, downloadable Word docs, and so forth. You don't need to buy one. There's so many options available for you. But it's important. And I think more people listening to this podcast and following the lead of what you're providing here through this education series on the Wind Down Real Estate podcast is going to help them quite a bit. But it's also important for them to be realistic. I want to make $1 million a year. Well, if you've only made $100,000 a year every year for the last 10 years, why is next year going to be tenfold? You're not going to 10x your business by next year. So you've got to have reasonable goals. You've got to have a path to get there. And you've got to put in the time with a thoughtful business plan. The feedback I get from my agents every year when they demand that they write them is, I hated you for making me do it, but I'm so glad I did it. I see the value in it now.
Well, I love that too. I think another one too for me is sacrifice. What are you willing to, because so many agents are typically a parent, a lot of them are coming from families. It might be the second income, might be the primary income, depending on what the household looks like. And for me, especially because hard work and drive and determination are part of my blueprint for my own success, I kind of look at it, and I've always said that people are only limiting themselves based on what you're willing to sacrifice and what you're not. You have kids. You can only sacrifice so much. There's only so much in your day, which is it's a great thing in many ways. But I'm just saying, you'll never beat me if I'm willing to take all those hours that you spend with your kids and I decide to work. And that's okay. That's life. That's the difference between...
But I have scale. I have my kids passing out my business card.
Well, there you go. Well, right. but
hiring Julia this
my
summer.
point is that we all get to determine and exactly where we want to be. And the business plan, what I love with it was that whether you wanted to make 100, 500, $1 million, whatever it is that you want to make for yourself, you can start out by laying the groundwork. Here's what I'm willing to work for. Mm-hmm. I can give 40 hours a week. I can't give more than 40, but I promise I will be the most efficient 40 hours a week. Or I want to absolutely crush it. I'm willing to work 80 hours, Ben. What do I do if I work 80 hours? And I think that if people are just honest with themselves about what they really want, what they're happy with, and then they use a plan like we're talking about and lay the foundation, they can set themselves up for a really successful 2026.
They have to be realistic too. A lot of people get into real estate, and I imagine the mortgage business, certainly in my side, they think it's going to be easy and they can replace their prior job's full-time income now working ultra part-time hours. If you can find me a way to earn an 80-hour a week crush it career income, only investing 20 or 25 hours, I'll change careers tomorrow. But a lot of them aren't realistic in that expectation. So you have to have a sincere conversation with someone more experienced than yourself in the business, whatever you're pursuing, whether it's the mortgage, real estate field, or any other business for that matter. What is attainable based on the time I have? Again, going back to ROI, you are not going to produce a big 6 or 7-figure income working half time. It's impractical. And that goes into the judgment of real estate practitioners getting into this business. And quite frankly, I point a finger at the Florida Real Estate Commission because I don't think the state licensing class does a good enough job setting reasonable expectations in that 63-hour pre-licensing course as to what's really involved in building a successful career. They'll teach you all about building an honest and an ethical career. They'll teach you about not commingling funds. They'll teach you about what the penalties are for getting in trouble. But to actually build a successful business, there is no curriculum for that in the state's licensing course. That's expected for the new licensee to figure out on their own or hopefully align themselves with a broker who's going to help them. And I think that's one of my strengths where I differentiate myself.
I've said it on previous podcasts. If we're gonna take a little jab at the associations, I would like that an agent must be, and you could say loan officer too if you want, must have a designation for condos before they try to sell a condo. I think that both loan officer / company and agents do harm to a consumer by selling a product they don't have a clue what's happening. And I think that the experience we talked about, so like the word for me before that you were talking about is setting expectations. That's one of my biggest words. It's the key to success and for me in selling. And People just do not understand how to finance a condo or how to buy a condo or how to sell a condo and what information needs to be provided. I know that there have been some new addendums that certainly are going to help for sure by forcing the listing agent in this case and the buying agent to have to check off and have to read more items. But as you know, not everybody, even in our own professions, understand the contracts perfectly well. So no reason for me to believe that an addendum is going to all of a sudden fix that. I would love to have a class or designation that is X amount of hours. And again, that's only a good thing for those who are willing to invest in their careers, because 3/4 of the people won't take it.
That's true. Lawyers have to specialize to go in a certain area of law. Just because you can't pass the bar doesn't mean you can do bankruptcy and divorce
Like
and
doctors.
entertainment. Doctors are the same way. You're not going to go to your cardiologist for foot surgery. It's not going to happen. But in real estate, just because you have a 63-hour license that you spend a couple of $100 to pay for, they're practicing real estate with undoubtedly the most expensive financial transaction a consumer is ever going to be involved in, unless they're selling a business or a yacht or a plane, which is uncommon for most people. And they're dabbling with fire, and the risk to the consumer and the risk to the agent and the brokerage are significant. So train, 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 educate, educate, educate. That all goes into your business plan. Even in your business plan, you want to put how much education you'll be taking for furthering your career, how many designations you'll be achieving, how many classes you're going to take, and lay out this curriculum for yourself as part of the chapter, that one chapter in your business plan. It all plays a factor.
What do you think? So let's as we wrap up, let's talk about what are your expectations for, let's talk two things. Number one, we're in South Florida. What do you think is going to actually happen with the New York Northeast migration? Number two, predictions for 2026 for the markets in general, and then for the signature companies.
Well, it's a lot in the last couple of minutes. A lot of predictions. Let me get out my crystal ball and
You
give you
have
some
6.
projections here. Uh, the election of the mayor in New York is undoubtedly going to drive traffic. However, it's not going to be a repeat of COVID. Let's remember during COVID, we didn't all have remote work at the time. So that was a new introduction to our society and our economy. We all know how to remote work now. So people from New York that can remote work are already here. We also didn't have high interest rates. We had super low interest rates, but 2-3% interest rates. That's not the case today. So we're not going to have the mortgage attraction to the big migration we had during COVID. Also, the entire state of New York had a black eye during COVID, not just one city in a huge state. Now people can move from Manhattan right across the river to Westchester or to Long Island, and they're out of whatever they're unhappy about by just going across the river. They don't have to come 1,200 miles south. So we will get a bump in business, no doubt. We've seen it. We've had pre-mayoral electorate purchases already closed, so there's no doubt that's happening. I've got closed transactions from it, and we've had a surge of phone calls since then, but it's not the surge that we had when
From
the
COVID.
pandemic occurred. So we'll see an improvement in business, and I would envision, we were in migrating 1,000 people a day during the height of the pandemic, and that went on for like 18 months. 1,000 people a day. It's wild,
Crazy.
wild. Now if we, have 250 a day, that would be phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if we'll get there, but that would be excellent if we got there for the entire state of Florida. So
Do
we'll
you know
see
what
that.
we're actually at?
We're less. We're sub 100 right now.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's also some people leaving Florida, right? High costs. There's things we can control and we can't. You and I would love to control interest rates. It would make us very powerful men. We can't control interest rates. We can't control insurance
That laugh.
rates. We cannot control property taxes. We certainly can't control buyer sentiment, being skeptical of the market. We can't get sellers who are sitting on cash homes or 2% mortgage homes to drop their prices. So the things we can't control. What we can control is the quality of service of what we provide, the knowledge and wisdom as practitioners in the mortgage and real estate space that we provide, and the ability to communicate our value proposition to our customers. That's what we can differentiate ourselves and provide to try to stimulate business. Without a doubt, I'm optimistic about 2026. I am certain, 100% confident it'll be superior to 2025. We will see interest rates trickle down. I think the administration up in Washington is pushing that. I think Jerome Powell's days are numbered. I'm pretty sure there's a chalkboard in the White House and they're counting them down in reverse order. You will see interest rates come down. I'm convinced. I do think Governor DeSantis is working aggressively to make some pretty aggressive changes to how we are property taxed here in Florida. I think that's going to help, like it or not. I think it's going to be helpful to our business. I think the election in New York is going to continue to push disgruntled, disenfranchised, unhappy New Yorkers to us here in South Florida. So we have a lot of good things cooking for us. I don't see any negatives. I'm very bullish on the 2026 market, but only the strong will survive. I say that because we have commission compression. The revenue per transaction will continue to shrink. I don't know if we've seen a floor to that just yet. We have a lot of agents in the business that are not producing, not so much in my company, but industry-wide. We need them to flush out. Too many agents trying to dilute the businesses here. That's not good for us. We want to have quality over quantity in the industry. So I think there's a lot of upside. Variables, there are some variables. We have obviously economic variables that sometimes we can't predict, that's for sure. We have sometimes variables right now with even flights, right? We'll see a surge once flights pick back up to South Florida. We've had buyers that have been unable to fly here due to the recent government shutdown because they couldn't get a flight or they didn't want to wait for their delayed flight, whatever the case may be. So there's always things you can't predict that will happen. But I think 2026 is going to be a great year for the capable, the well-trained, the prepared, and the hungry agent. I think those that are complacent, sitting on the sideline, they should change careers. There's lots of open tables in restaurants.
Hear, hear. Well, let's end on that note because I couldn't agree more with everything you said. And if you don't want to work your little tail off, we're not scared of you leaving the industry. So thank you, everybody. And Ben, we're going to leave all your contact information for any agents who would love to work with Ben and his team in the show notes. And Sarah, you want to sign us off?
No, I'm good. Thank you, Ben, for being here. It's a pleasure as always. We'll have you back in 6-ish months and we can do a wrap up and a follow up and a touch point, some accountability on 2026 and where we are.
I got to do better to get invited back more than once every 6 months.
You're actually the only person that's been invited back.
Oh, okay. Well, the bar is set. Thank you for having me. It's always a privilege. Love working with Choice. I would not bring my mortgage business anywhere but right here to the Choice Mortgage team. You guys are the best.
You're the best. Thanks,
Thank
Ben.
you.
Okay, that's enough whining for one day. We are so happy that you could join us today on Stop Whining About Real Estate. So please, not only listen, but subscribe, follow us, download, share, and if you're feeling it, give us a 5-star review. Hey, and if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email stopwhining@choicemortgage.com. Thanks so much.